Chapter 4. The first fracture. By Wednesday evening, Evelyn was exhausted. Work had stretched into a mess of deadlines, her inbox overflowing, her boss voice echoing in her head. All she wanted was to curl up with a blanket and shut out the world. But when Ethan texted, "Ethan, park, 10 minutes," she pulled on her jacket and went anyway. Because that was what she did. The park was quiet, the lamps casting pale pools of light along the path. She spotted him near the benches, hands shoved in his pockets. "You look terrible," she said by way of greeting. "Thanks," he muttered. "Rough day." They sat, the kind of closeness that came from habit. For a while, they just listened to the leaves rustling in the wind. But Evelyn could feel something brewing beneath his silence. Finally, he spoke. "So Ryan." Her stomach dipped. "What about him? You've been seeing him a lot." His tone was careful, too careful. She crossed her arms. "We've gone out twice. It's hardly a lot. -1 in 1 week. Is that a problem?" Ethan looked at her then, really looked. "I just don't want to see you get hurt. That's not what this is about." "Yes, it is." "No, Ethan." Her voice rose sharper than she intended. "This is about you not liking the idea of me being with someone who isn't you." The words hung there, electric. His jaw tightened, but he didn't deny it. Evelyn's heart raced. She hadn't meant to say it, not out loud, not like that. He leaned back, exhaling slowly. "You think that's what this is, isn't it?" He shook his head, staring at the ground. "You don't get it." "Then explain it," she pressed, her voice softer now, almost pleading. But he didn't. He stayed silent, shoulders hunched, as though the weight of everything unsaid was crushing him. Evelyn swallowed hard, frustration mixing with something deeper, something more fragile. She wanted him to fight for her, to say it finally, clearly. But he didn't. So she stood. "Maybe you should take that job in Chicago." His head snapped up, eyes narrowing. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means," her throat tightened, "maybe distance is what we need." They stared at each other, neither willing to break first. Then Evelyn turned and walked away, her chest aching with every step. Behind her, Ethan didn't call out. Back in her apartment, she dropped onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. The silence felt heavier than ever. Her phone buzzed. A new message. "Ryan, Friday. Dinner?" She stared at it, tears pricking her eyes. Maybe distraction was easier than heartbreak. Maybe saying yes to someone else was safer than waiting forever for Ethan to find his courage. She typed, "Sure," and hit send before she could stop herself. Chapter 5. Dinner for 2. Silence for 3. Friday evening, Evelyn stood in front of her mirror, smoothing the fabric of her dress. It wasn't anything extravagant, just a simple navy blue number shed had for years. Still, it felt strange to be dressing up with Ryan in mind instead of Ethan. She caught her own eyes in the mirror and sighed. "Stop overthinking," she whispered. Ryan chose a new Italian restaurant downtown. The lighting was soft, the tables close enough that the room buzzed with conversation, but not loud enough to drown intimacy. He greeted her with an easy smile, pulling out her chair before sliding into his own. "You look amazing," he said without hesitation. "Thanks." She tucked her hair behind her ear, flustered by the bluntness. Ethan Wood teased her instead, making her roll her eyes before secretly smiling. Ryan ordered a bottle of wine, launched into another story about his co-workers, and Evelyn tried, she really did, to let herself sink into the warmth of his attention. He was kind, funny, confident. By every reasonable measure, he was good for her. And yet every time he laughed, she thought of the way Ethan's eyes crinkled at the corners. Every time he leaned across the table, she remembered late-night walks under one umbrella. Every time she smiled, it felt practiced. Halfway through the meal, her phone buzzed in her bag. Her pulse jumped. She excused herself to the restroom and pulled it out. "Ethan, are you free?" Her breath caught. She typed, slowly, "Evelyn, Out. Dinner. There was no reply. She stood staring at the screen until the letters blurred. Then she slipped the phone back in her purse and forced herself to return to the table. Ryan smiled at her warmly when she sat down again. Everything okay? Yeah, she lied. Everything's fine. Later, after dinner, Ryan walked her to her door. The night air was cool, the city lights flickering around them. He paused, leaning slightly closer. I had a really good time tonight. Me too. The words came automatically, though her chest felt tight. When he kissed her, she let him. His lips were gentle, warm. And yet, when she closed her eyes, she saw Ethan's face. Inside, Evelyn leaned against the door, pressing her hand over her heart. Her phone buzzed again. Ethan, never mind. That was all it said. She sank to the floor, tears pricking at her eyes, because she knew, without question, that something had broken between them tonight, something fragile and precious that couldn't be mended with silence. Chapter 6. Words in the dark. Saturday came heavy with silence. Evelyn tried to distract herself. Laundry, grocery shopping, a half-hearted attempt at cleaning her apartment, but every task seemed to circle back to her phone, lying face up on the counter, stubbornly blank. By evening, she couldn't stand it anymore. She threw on a jacket and walked the familiar 10 blocks to Ethan's place, her heart pounding harder with each step. When he opened the door, he didn't look surprised, just tired. Hey, she said softly, hey. They stood there for a moment, caught between the urge to close the space and the fear of widening it further. Finally, Ethan stepped aside, and she slipped in. The apartment felt different, colder somehow, though nothing had changed. The same mugs on the counter, the same shoes by the door. Only the air between them was new, heavy, uncertain. Evelyn turned to face him. About last night, you don't owe me an explanation, he interrupted. Yes, I do. Her voice cracked sharper than she meant. Because you've been walking around acting like everything's fine when it's not. Ethan's jaw tightened. You're the one going out with him. And you're the one who won't say what you really feel. The words slipped out before she could stop them. Her chest heaved, her pulse racing. Ethan froze, then looked away, dragging a hand through his hair. You think it's that simple, isn't it? His eyes flashed, raw. Yeah, he stopped, exhaling hard. If I say it, everything changes. And I can't lose you. Her throat tightened. You're losing me anyway. The silence that followed was deafening. He stared at her, his expression torn between anger and desperation. She wanted him to close the distance, to say it, to finally tear down the wall between them. Instead, he shook his head. Maybe you're right. Maybe I should take the job. Her stomach dropped. So that's it. You ran away. In trying to do the right thing, he said quietly. The right thing for who? Neither of them answered. The weight of everything unspoken filled the room like smoke, suffocating. Finally, Evelyn turned toward the door, blinking back, the sting in her eyes. I can't keep doing this, Ethan. Her hand hovered on the knob, waiting, hoping for him to stop her. But behind her, he said nothing. So she walked out, the sound of the door closing louder than any argument could have been. That night, in her empty apartment, Evelyn curled up on the couch, phone clutched in her hand. She typed his name into a message once, twice, then deleted it each time. When she finally fell asleep, her last thought was the echo of his voice, if I say it, everything changes. And in the silence that followed, she wondered if maybe it already had.